Hi, my name is Rajin. Today we are going to discuss about a chapter that comes in the 10th biology, which we call it as life processes. That means inside this chapter we have to discuss how the different process is going on inside a living body. For example, we have to discuss about the human system, that is a mammalian system, human system in detail, all the system, excretory system, digestive system, respiratory system, what is its function, etc. Number two, plant system. That means how plants are producing food, what is the importance of why plants are doing like that, what are the cycles taking place inside the plant. So all these systems together we have to study inside this chapter. So one by one we will begin. Before proceeding to this chapter, we have to know something which is called as, what do you mean by nutrients? Nutrients are chemicals or biomolecules which are helping us for the development and which is helping us to do some metabolic activities inside our body, which means, for example, one of the nutrient which is known as Fe, which is iron, it is helping us for the formation of hemoglobin, that is blood, which is a protein that is present in the human blood, which is responsible for carrying the oxygen. So if our body wants iron, that is Fe, my body or any mammalian body don't have the capacity to produce this iron. So we have to take these nutrients from outside. And chemicals, or this is a biomolecule, those biomolecules which are helping us to sustain our life, they are known as nutrients. Then, apart from that, you must understand that what are the different types of intake of food, or different types how the different organisms are taking food, that we have to know. First thing, there are three types are there. The first, they are known as autotrophs. Second, they are known as the heterotrophs. Third, known as saprophytes. These are the three major ways how the nutrients are taken, or how we are getting the nutrients to the system, that means to the entire system. First, we will go one by one. What do you mean by this autotrophs? How they are helping? Auto means self, trophs means the production, whose product is in this. The best example for this is our plants. Heterotrophs means they depend upon other organisms or other living forms, especially to these autotrophs or any other forms, for their food. Best example for this is humans. Third, saprophytes. Sapros means dead, phytes means which takes nutrients from that. That means organisms which feed on dead bodies to take the nutrients. They are known as the saprophytes. Best example for this is fungi. These are the three main ways how the system is getting nutrients. One is autotrophs, that means the plants will produce this. Heterotrophs means which are depending upon other organisms for taking the food. Best example goes is humans. Third, saprophytes means which depends upon the dead bodies. That means wherever the dead bodies or dead remains are there, on which they live and take nutrition. The best example goes is fungus. And it is not plants. There are some microorganisms are also there. For example, Euglena. These microorganisms also can produce their food from the basis of autotrophic nutrition. First, we will come to this autotrophic nutrition. So we have to know how autotrophic nutrition means mainly depends upon the plants or any organism which is having chlorophyll inside that. So we have to know what are the requirements for doing that autotrophic nutrition. That means naturally what is available to the plant and how they are producing food from that. So requirements goes is one is chlorophyll, the second is water, third is sunlight, fourth is carbon dioxide. These are the main components that is required for producing the food that is required to the world. For example, if you take a leaf, most of the chlorophyll will be present on the top part of the leaf. That is why the leaves are having green in color. And number two, water will be absorbed through the roots to the plant to the leaf. And sunlight will be available outside. And the carbon dioxide also will be present in the atmosphere. In order to get a proper autotrophic nutrition, that means if the plant has to produce good amount of food, all these components should be required in its proper ratio. That means if a chlorophyll is high and there is no much water, or the sunlight is very high, that means the intensity of the sunlight is very high, and there is no water, or chlorophyll is not able to absorb sunlight, all these things will affect the production of food. And what is the type of reaction that is taking place inside this plant? That is carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. It will combine with water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. It will be converted into glucose. Sorry, it will be converted into starch, which is a main source of energy, and few will be converted. After that, it will be converted into water, and oxygen will be evolved out. Starch is the product and oxygen is the byproduct. That means starch is the main thing which the plant is used, and after that, whatever after using, the oxygen will be evolved out, and this oxygen will be used by the humans for the further respiration process. Next we will move to the heterotrophic nutrition. Heterotrophic nutrition means any organism that depends upon other organisms for their products or on them for the food. For example, the main source or chief producer of the food, or chief producer that makes food to this entire universe, we have only one, that is plant. And the plant, as we discussed earlier, in plants, through this reaction, starch will be produced. This starch will be taken by some animals as food, or these plants will be directly taken by humans, plus, and the animals that eat on these plants, that means the these plants which has produced this starch, there will be few amount of starch will be present inside them, and we humans depend upon those organisms for our energy. So we have to discuss what is happening when we have taken these type of food. For example, what will happen if you have taken starch, what will happen if you have taken glucose, what will happen if you have taken fat. For all the things, humans, we have to depend on other organisms for it. And on the same way, we need oxygen also in order to complete the production of ATP. So now I am going into a picturization of human digestive system to see what is happening inside the human digestive system and what are the processes that takes place inside the human digestive system, and how what is happened to the digested food and how the waste is excreted out. This is a diagram of a human digestive system. If you see this diagram, we can understand that how the digestion process is taking place inside a human body. And you must know one thing, that in human body there are two types of digestion takes place. One is a mechanical digestion which takes place inside our mouth, and the second one is a chemical digestion which is taken place in the small intestine and which begins from the stomach. So as your syllabus, we have to see how these organs and how the human digestive system is functioning, how they are helping us to digest the food. First, we have to understand that whatever the food we are taking, we will take into in through mouth. When it was taken in through mouth, inside the mouth we have the salivary glands, and there are three salivary glands are there. One is the parotid gland, which is situated near to the left and the right earlobes, and another one is the sublingual gland, and next one is a mandibular gland. Then this saliva softens the food material along with the tongue, which help us to mix the food material properly. So inside our mouth, mechanical digestion takes place. That means with the help of the teeth and with the help of the saliva, we will mechanically chew that process is known as chewing. We'll chew the food. Once the food is chewed, it will be engulfed in and directed to the stomach. From the mouth, it is directed to the stomach through a long tube which is known as esophagus. And inside the esophagus, zigzag movement takes place. And esophagus is 100% made up of muscles. When it is reaches to the stomach, already the pre-produced HCl is there. And you must know what is the function of HCl and how this HCl is helping for digestion. HCl is having two functions. One is invading microorganisms through food, but still there are some microorganisms which can withstand the pH of this HCl and they can cause disease to our body. And the second function of HCl is this HCl is helping to activate the inactivated pepsinogen into pepsin, which is helping for the digestion of proteins. Once these food is mixed with HCl, and it will be directed to the small intestine where chemical digestion takes place. For doing this chemical digestion, we need our body is supported with two major glands. One is liver and another is pancreas. The liver also secretes many enzymes which are helping for breaking down of protein, fats, lipids, amylase, everything. They secretes amylase also, which helps act on the carbohydrates, and the liver will secrete the bile juice, which helps for the digestion of proteins and lipids. and whatever the food that is digested, it will be absorbed in small intestine, and that absorbed food will be directed to the liver for the further purification. That means if there is any chemical or something is there, that will be purified, because liver is one of the major organ that helps for detoxification. Then that nutrients will be given to the blood, and the blood will carry these nutrients to different part of the body, where this will be used for the metabolic activity. And after this absorption and everything, the undigested food material will be directed through the large intestine. Inside the large intestine also, if there is any extra water or any other extra things to be absorbed, that also will be absorbed. Mainly the small large intestine is responsible for absorbing water. It will be absorbed, and it will be passed through the rectum, and inside the rectum it will be stored, and it will be in outflexed through the anus. The third one nutrition that is going to we are going to discuss, that is known as the saprophytic nutrition. Saprophytic nutrition means we have plants, we have animals. That means animals which depends upon plants. Some of the few lower level of animal like beings, they can produce their food by themselves. Finally, what is happening? Whatever these plants, animals, including us humans, we will die. We will die. After our death, our whatever our body is made up of, they are all made up of with biomolecules. Biomolecules means like molecules that is helping to sustain the life. They are known as biomolecules. For example, in our body, we have rich amount of carbon, rich amount of nitrogen, we have oxygen, some enzymes, some proteins. These all things will be there inside our body. And whatever this biomolecules, whatever the things that is present in our body, the cyclic process that runs inside our universe, nothing will go to waste. So finally, what will happen? There will be some microorganisms, there will be some organisms which have the capacity to feed on these dead bodies or dead remains of plants and animals. So when they feed on, automatically they will get some of this carbon, some of this nitrogen, some products from this indigested enzymes, some products from these proteins. So they all have biomolecules inside that. And that biomolecules, these plants, and one of the few examples for the saprophytic nutrition, for example, fungus, they grow wherever the dead plants are there, and some bacteria will act on us, act on our human dead bodies whenever the body is dead. So these type of nutrition which is run, which was taken by these organisms are known as saprophytic nutrition. That means these organisms feed on the dead bodies, by which we will get back this carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and these enzymes are proteins. They also have some type of nitrogen and some type of carbon bonding. Many things are there inside these enzymes and proteins. These will be balanced back to the environment, and some will be taken by them. These fungus, some of the funguses are edible to us, and these bacteria, they have the capacity to convert it into nitrites and nitrates, and they will give to this to this atmosphere, so that the cycle of maintaining the nutrition will be balanced inside this entire universe. So these are the three main nutritional process that runs in our body. One is autotrophic nutrition, means the plants are helping us to produce the food. They are the chief producers. Number two, heterotrophic nutrition. That means humans, including humans, which depends upon plant for the food. Number three, after the death of this organisms which feed on that, which is called as saprophytes, they take energy from that. If there is any queries or if there is any mistakes, please feel free to comment below.